And installing the TorkLift SuperTruss. The SuperTruss is going to be a great option to be able to extend out the hitch. You will have to have the TorkLift Original or TorkLift SuperHitch to be able to use this because it is a 2-bar system. That's going to give you a good enough extension to be able to clear the back of a camper, just like we've got on our neighbors here today who happens to be pulling a boat. Our SuperTruss here is going to be the 48-inch, which is going to be rated at 600 pounds on the tongue weight and 6,000 on the pull weight. We do have a multitude of options going all the way from 21 inches out to 60 inches. So depending on what type of clearance you need from the back of your vehicle, that weight adjustment can change with the length. So make sure you're double checking that when you are making your order. Now this is going to feature a 5/8 inch pinhole. Not included with the kit, so you will need to order one for the end. It does feature these nice large safety chain loops, which are going to work with any type of style that you may have for your safety chains, and also features a place to be able to mount a 7-way, so that way you can stay road legal with not only your lights, but also a brake function as well. Now this SuperTruss kit is going to include both pieces of the double shank, our chains on each end, and then it does come with a set of 2 5/8 pins to be able to go into your super hitch. Things not included with the kit are going to be that TorkLift SuperHitch. Again, this will work with both the original and the Super Magnum. Now this is going to be the option when it comes to being able to tow with your camper on there, and use our fit guide on the website when you're making your order to make sure everything's going to work out perfectly to get your extension set up. Again, I'm going to walk you through the entire process of this install, but if you happen to watch the video and think to yourself, I don't want to try to tackle this between not just the hitch, but the extension, please do check out that dealer locator on our website. We'd be happy to help you find a trained professional in your area that can get this installed for you. But for all those DIYers, let's go ahead and hop into it. We're going to begin this installation by getting both bars in place, and I'm going to show you exactly where those go. Just make sure you have your 2 hitch pins that come with it and the cotter pins as well. We'll just set those up here so that way they're out of the way but still accessible. Now I'm going to grab a second pair of hands, and Jesse's going to come over here and help me out with this. We're going to grab the upper bar, which is going to be the one that's got the big butterfly shaped plate at the end of it, and that's going right here in this top tube. We'll slide that all the way into the end, grab our pin, and push that through. And you may have to just kind of wiggle back and forth until you find that magic spot where it goes through. And then add that cotter pin. And we'll grab that second smaller bar here, and that's going to slide right in the bottom. We're going to repeat that same process with our hitch pin and then the cotter pin. Now we've got everything secure. Take these 2 collars, and they are going to go over the top, but we need to make sure we put those in the correct position. So one of them we're going to have at the very end, farthest away from the truck. Pretty easy to figure out with no real measurement there. But if we measure the entire assembly here, we're looking at 48 inches, and so half of that's going to be 24. Coming straight out of the hitch, so 24 from that. We're looking lined up pretty much with our E and R and TE down the center here. So I'll go ahead and drop that in place for now, and we'll grab those shim plates. We're going to be sliding that shim plate up in between the lower extension and that collar, and then we will take one of the longer bolts that we got with the kit. That's going to get a flat washer on just the bolt by itself. We can use that to hang up our shim plate on one side, starting to feed that through. Slide that shim plate up on the other side, lining up one of the bolt holes, and we're going to go all the way through, repeating that on the bottom. We are going through both shim plates and the collar, and then we'll hop over to the other side here. And on that side, we're getting another flat washer on each of those, followed by the nuts. And we'll just get those hand snug for now. and we can repeat that same process on the one that's towards the rear of the vehicle. Come back through with a set of 19mm wrenches, and we're going to tighten all this to the torque specification shown in that instruction manual. If you do not have a torque wrench, you can pick one up along with your order from us, or head down to that local parts store and they should be able to rent one out for you. And once you got that middle one, go ahead and hit the back one. Come back to those hitch pins, get that cotter pin pulled on each of them. What we want to do is make sure this is supported. We'll set our pins back up near the license plate. We're just going to make sure this will slide in and out. So I've got movement, that's good enough for me. We don't need to go much further than that. We'll get it back in place and those pins back in place. You need to build the chain assemblies on each side, and this may be a little bit difficult just because we will need to shove one of the clevises through a chain end, and we'll worry about that when we get there. So we'll just take our loose one. That is going to go on the end of our adjustable link here. So we'll feed the pin through there, and then it just screws into place. We'll just leave that one loose for now. And then for this link here, what we'll need to do is take this clevis loose, so just unscrew that pin, drop that out. What you want to do is turn this chain almost at a 90 if you can. Then we're going to take the end of the clevis and force that through the chain here. It can be rather difficult because it's just a little bit overbuilt, but I'd rather have it overbuilt than underbuilt. May have to switch sides of it, see if maybe the other one's a little less cast. One tip I've got, if you've got that at that 90-degree angle, it may just start to go if you can get it wedged in there enough. Find a couple good pieces of wood or something like that, stick that on each end of the chain, and then smack downwards with the hammer, and that should drive the clevis the rest of the way through. And now we'll put that pin here. And this one we can go ahead and take a pair of pliers as soon as we've got it bottomed out, because this one we won't need to put on the end of the hitch at all. Just snug that real good right there. And then at the end opposite of our tension point where we're going to be able to adjust, we'll want to do the same thing with that end clevis, getting that pushed through. For this one, let's go over to the vise. I'll show you how I knock that through. I've got that at the end of the vise here. I'm going to stick one end of the clevis down into that chain. Hold that with my fingers up enough that we're not going to get caught on the way down. Kind of give it a little angle. It does take some force, so just take your time with it so you don't hurt your hands. Take the end with the adjustable shackle there and just back those out about an inch to start. We can always adjust as we need to. Get both of the locking nuts loose on the ends so that way this turns freely, and one way will go out, one way will go in. It's pretty easy to figure out. And we'll take the clevis that's on just the chain by itself. That's going to come back here to our hitch. Get that in place. Go all the way down just by hand for now. We're going to come back with those pliers once we've got it all set. And with that extension out far enough that we can reach to the end of the hitch, these back loops are going to be big enough for our clevis ends just to slide right through. So we'll drop that into place with the threading going towards the inside of the hitch. Then we can pull our chain tight if we need to adjust some more here. This is the time to do it, so we'll come out just a hair or two more. Once we got that out to where we can line that up, Slide that pin through, going through the end, and hand tighten that one down. I just want to make sure that's lined up as we're going down. Once we get it started, again, just snugging that up by hand. Now we can let that hang for a second, readjust ourselves, and then just start to tighten that up. All you gotta do is watch your threading. You'll end up with more threading if you're loosening. We just want to get that snug. And you can see the chain starting to tighten up, so we'll just get that one kind of snug. We'll get the other one into place, snug that one up as well to where we don't have much play in it at all, and then I'll show you how to finish up the rest of the hardware here. Now we'll make sure both of them are nice and tight. We don't want any slop in it at all, and once we've got that, we'll take those lock nuts, run those all the way down to our ends, use a wrench or something just to hold that still, and then we're going to take a 19mm wrench and snug both of those down. So just make sure you got good tension on there, and then same for this one in the back here. Come through and tighten up all of those clevises with a pair of pliers so we can make sure that they're not going to come loose at any point during travel. Put our bracket on. It does mount with the 1/4" hardware that we get along with it. So we'll drop the bolts down through. And with those bolts dropped through, you're going to get 2 lock washers and nuts. So put the lock washer on first, followed by the nut. That's going to do for the installation of our super truss. Make sure you check that shank length to make sure you are clearing the back of the vehicle here. Our neighbor's going to be hooking up to his boat, so now he'll be able to have that camper and the boat out there to enjoy. And that's going to do for our look at an installation of the super truss. My name is Ian with eTrailer. Appreciate you watching.